Hello and welcome to the 2KU Weekly Podcast. This week 5 coming up now from our houses. Really, we're watching Wild Western Marshals of I believe was it Prescott or Yuma, Arizona?
It's like Kingsville, Arizona, I believe, or something like that.
Yeah, Kingstow.
Yeah.
On Route 66 as they take on Dave Show Western out of Las Vegas. I'm Antoine Joy 101, joined by Danny V and Pig Bear. And last night, a few nights ago, last time you saw us, Danny was in Texas for the who did Texas play? UT played Sam Houston. He was in Texas for that game. And while he was out, his Badgers lost to a tribe called William and Jerry. We'll talk more about that in a second. But right now, let's go through our top stories. William and Mary got that upset win after starting the season 5-0, the only 5-0 team in the country. They'll be getting a much-deserved bye. It's only their second ranked win in program history. The first came only a few years ago, still within the Stream era back in 2022. Nebraska took care of business against number 15 Kansas State, moving up to 3-1 on the year. BYU upset the Oklahoma State Cowboys. That's the second loss for OKSU this year. Florida now 3-1 with their dogfight win over Tennessee. Purdue wins a nail-biter against Miami to get to their first 4-0 start since 2010. Maryland, on the rallying cry of Turtle Power, storms the field after an upset win over Florida State. About time we had a proper field storming. And some other news outside of games. William & Mary, Western Carolina are confirmed to be in the FBS for 2026. Meanwhile, Davidson and Wofford have voted out. We'll talk more about the SoCon voting later. The Big Ten, SEC, and ACC all convene with their schools on a potential 9th game for their conferences starting in 2026. Talk more about that later. But as we watch the Wild Western Marshall faithful, Danny, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty right. I got back from my trip yesterday and ready for some more 2KU, and especially ready for later this week.
Big Bear?
Doing better than I deserve. To a campus ministry thing tonight. Shout out Presbyterian Episcopal Campus Ministry at Appalachian State University. I got some lemonade. We got some Milo's lemonade. We're drinking.
Lemonade.
Not sponsored.
I'm drinking Propel Kiwi Strawberry. Not sponsored.
Propel is a big drink of mine. It wastes my dining dollars to the vending machines on campus.
It's like the best sugar-free thing there is.
Yes, it is so good.
Most other sugar-free things taste like crap, but this is fine by me. Danny, you got anything to drink?
I got myself a Coke Zero right here.
All right. Let's get things started. Game of the week. Danny wasn't here for it, and I'll tell you, it was an old-fashioned slog down in Madison. The rain was pouring in all day. Fittingly enough, I wasn't sure how it would touch down Wild Western. I don't know. I wasn't sure how it was going to pan out for the rain because I didn't think it was very realistic. But the next morning, it started raining here, so I guess it did happen. But it was a low-scoring game all day. William & Mary got on the board with the first touchdown. Wisconsin responded in kind with a touchdown and a field goal, and that was scoring for a while up until the final 2 minutes when William & Mary finally started clicking again, made their way down the field. Big plays from the running back all the way down to the line to take the lead with just 50 seconds to go. Wisconsin tried to mount a final drive, but it ended up stalling. The rain was really the MVP of this game, but William & Mary 5-0 with the biggest win in program history, 14-13, the final score from Camp Randall. What a game to have on Peacock Network. How do you think, Danny?
That game definitely would have sucked. Not as bad as real life, unfortunately, but yeah, great win for William & Mary. I mean, this was a team that scored 85 points the game before, so to be held to 14 is kind of a disappointment, but Wisconsin is known to have a really strong defense, knowing how to drag teams down.
This is definitely not the end of their campaign, the Badgers. They're still one of the favorites in the Big Ten. Pig Bear?
Well, it's just been a bad week for
Oh.
Wisconsin and the Chesapeake area, Virginia, and Maryland. Sorry, Danny. Don't worry. I don't have fond memories of upstate New York right now, or southern Mississippi.
It's not that bad for 2KU.
It's not that bad for 2KU at all. It's great for 2KU. Both my teams, well, App's got the same record, and Clemson's unbeaten.
Mm-hmm.
But this was true Big Ten West football. Because when I think of the Big Ten West, I think of Williamsburg, Virginia.
Yeah.
I think of Tribe of William and Mary, who also voted this week to stay in the FBS. They ain't going anywhere.
We'll have more on that
Virginia's
later.
team.
Potentially the best team in Virginia. The Cavaliers are also undefeated entering this week. We don't really talk about them on the docket here, but
Why isn't Virginia being talked about?
they haven't really gotten any major wins. Their best win is against an Indiana team that's been struggling.
Wahoo Wah. Go Hoos.
The ACC in general has not gotten a lot of talk. Only 2 teams are ranked right now, those being Clemson and Tech. Maybe that changes with the next poll coming in. We'll see. But we'll get we do have another ACC game to talk about. And Danny, I wanted to get your pain out of the way first, so we put these 2 games back to back. Friday, September 12th. UCF, number 17 in the country, heads down. Whoa, referee disappeared.
Sanctions?
I think dark magic is being used out in Kingstown, Arizona. Could it be Arby's? Perhaps. Ever since they teamed up with E-League, it hasn't been the same. But as I was saying, in Orlando, Battle for Orlando, UCF, number 17 country, heads across town to take on. I can actually play it because I'm on Discord right now. Didn't need to. Dave Show University Truckers. And continuing their streak so far for the Truckers, they have not played a game where they have won or lost by more than 7 points. This one was a 3-point finish, 27-24. Truckers advanced to 2-2. After starting their season rough with losses to Florida, they have losses to Florida and Florida and Arizona State, but they have beaten South Florida, and they got the win over UCF. Dave Show is a hard team to pin down at any point. What do you make of this Trucker squad, and what do you make of the Knights after their second loss of the season? UCF now 2-2.
Yeah, it's a sad game for the Knights. Luckily, it's between better in real life, but yeah, pretty painful game in my opinion, especially against an in-state, in-town rival. But Dave Show has always been tough. They beat UCF last season, and they're still very much a dark horse in the ACC Coastal Division.
Pig Bear?
Yeah, it's a tough one for Dave Show it's a tough one for UCF to lose to Dave Show. You don't like losing to a rival, especially one down the street. But
come on, UCF Bowl. We gotta get the bowling.
Yeah. I don't know how good this Trucker team is. We're gonna find out when they start ACC play coming up. They play in a very tough division in the Coastal.
Coastal Chaos.
Speaking of, we'll talk real quick. UConn now 3-1 with a 24-21 win on the road against Syracuse. The Huskies have silently put together a solid first 4 games. What do you think about this, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, UConn, they're doing a lot better. I mean, last season, I believe they had 3 wins, and now they've already matched that win total. So, definitely UConn is on the right track, and they have a good chance of winning the North of the Big East.
Seeing flashes of that 2022 team for UConn. Pig Bear?
We talk a lot about Husky basketball, which I need to get on. 2KU basketball schedule's coming at some point soon, really soon, actually. Trying to do that tonight, actually. Trying to get some done tonight. ACC done tonight, at least.
Mm-hmm. Just won't be brought down.
They beat Q's, another team that it's a traditional Big East basketball matchup that UConn won, and Syracuse, I guess, was running wind sprints afterwards. If you know, you know. Cuse
down to 1-2. Their losses are to UConn and I forget who the other losses to, but they did. No, UConn and Tennessee they lost to, I thought. But they did beat Penn State. It was a tough out-of-conference stretch for the Orange. We'll see how well they compete in play. Let's talk about some of the big games on Saturday. Oklahoma State, number 8 in the country, heading on the road. They've had all of 3 losses, or they've had all of 4 losses from 20. Let me do the math right. They've had all 5 losses from 2022 to 2024. They've had 2 in the first 4 weeks this season as they head to Provo and lose 24-20 to BYU. Meanwhile, the Cougars are now 2-1 with their win in overtime. What does it say about the power dynamic of the Big 12, Danny?
Oklahoma State's gonna have a pretty tough season. I mean, I think that Alabama game kind of broke them, and now they have to go through a pretty tough Big 12 schedule. I mean, they have Texas Tech next. It's a pretty decent rivalry. Then you got A&M, Texas, Houston, Kansas, maybe even an SMU and an Oklahoma at the end. It's not going to be easy. So this Big 12, even though it expanded to 16, it's a lot tougher to win it now.
Big Bear?
Yeah, BYU getting the upset over Oklahoma State. And how they're sitting in the top 10 with 2 losses is still, 1 loss is still beyond me. But BYU's a legit team. Watch out for them in the Big 12.
They competed pretty well last season in their first year of the Big 12. Waiting for the boil over. Meanwhile, staying in Big 12 action, 48-21 the final from Lincoln, Nebraska. Now 3-1 with their win over a top 15 Kansas State. K-State now drops 2, get to 2-2. So both of the teams who played in the conference championship last season are at 2 losses entering week 5. We expected a shift in the big conferences, or specifically the Big 12. What is that shift going to end up looking like, Danny?
Yeah, is that even though the conference expanded, of course, it is going to be a lot tougher to beat in. And we have seen several times in Big 12 history of teams who made the conference championship game and is now failing pretty hardly. We saw that with Baylor a few years ago. They won the Big 12 and they couldn't make the conference championship game. And we've seen Oklahoma State right here, Oklahoma State and Kansas State, who did make the conference championship, but then falling to different rivals, especially for a Nebraska team who hasn't really been that impressive as of recently. So this definitely was a big game, especially for the Cornhuskers and their blackout uniforms.
Big Bear?
Yeah, Nebraska's a really good football team. Why we don't have them ranked is still beyond me.
That could change.
Me too. Why they aren't even? No, never mind. They are ranked. My bad. Spoiler.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not officially.
They were going to be. They would have been ranked a few weeks ago, but they happened to rise at the wrong time because they were right up on the doorstep and then had to play Texas, who they lost to.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's the toughest stretch of Nebraska's schedule behind them. We'll talk more about their outlooks later. Meanwhile, to the SEC, Florida 20-17 over Tennessee. Close fought game in Neyland. Florida now 3-1. Is it too early to say Florida's back in SEC contention?
I would say, yeah, it's pretty early for that. That touchdown Dave show. So,
show Westerns.
Yep. So while Florida, they did have a pretty good win against Tennessee, there's a really tough division with Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, and Nathan Vanderbilt always loves to pull off an upset or two. So it's going to be a bit more before I consider Florida to be back.
Tennessee, or Florida, has this weird habit of they're very similar to the Giants of MLB, like last decade, where every other year they would be contending for a World Series. They have an odd number. They have an odd number Farmers Almanac, where they were one of the best teams in the SEC in 2021. They won a Natty in 2023, but in 2022 and 2024 they were kind of middling both of those seasons. I don't know if you check the calendar, but it's an odd year. Maybe that says something about what Florida's going to do after the third Saturday in September here. Pig Bear?
Yeah, Florida going into Neyland, that's huge. They're joyous day in Gainesville.
To College Park. I was saying that Chesapeake had it a lot better in 2K than they did in real life, and they did. 41-37 the final from SECU Stadium as Maryland upsets Florida State. The Seminoles fall to 1-3 to start the year after being one of the favorites to win the SEC, or the ACC rather, just a month ago. Meanwhile, Maryland 3-1 officially have catapulted themselves into the conversation in the ACC. Danny?
Maryland's always been a tough team. They've always been a team who can pull off an upset here and there, and will always catch a team off guard when they're not paying attention. So Maryland definitely did caught this Florida State team off guard, and yeah, maybe Maryland has a good chance, but still at the Atlantic.
Pig Bear?
Well, I guess you could say Maryland's 41, but they got 41 gold, and they rushed the field.
Turtle Power is the
Turtles in
moniker.
a half shell. Turtle Power.
The moniker dubbed onto this team, and fittingly enough, they're quarterbacked by a guy named Raphael. Adam Raphael.
Out wide.
Donatello yet to be found on that sideline, but we'll keep you posted.
Assistant coach named Donatello.
We're gonna run through a bunch of these games. Actually, we'll have one more, and then we'll run through a bunch of these games rapid fire. From Piscataway, two undefeated teams clashed that I don't think anyone was really talking about. Rutgers and Temple. That could have decided the division right there. 27-17 the final. Rutgers gets the win at home to improve to 4-0. Temple slips to 3-1. This puts Temple as the runner-up in terms of odds to win the Big East North. Temple likes being an underdog, though. 27-17 the final once again. Is Rutgers the best team in the Big Ten East, Danny?
I would say possibly yes. They've always been a good little contender here and there, always been able to pull off a good win here and there. There's still teams like UConn that they compete with, West Virginia, yeah, and even a Pitt that is better than what the record says. So we gotta see.
We'll flip the script here for Pig Bear. I'm still of the opinion that Temple is absolutely not out of this Big East race. What do you have to say about that?
No, Rutgers and Temple are very good football teams. It's fair to say. So I think Temple's not. They're not out yet. A lot with the Big East. How is Pitt 0-3?
Pitt had a grueling out of conference schedule.
Yeah, no, you played Clemson and stuff like that, and you expect to lose that. I'd expect them to lose that game to Clemson, but like Pitt should be like a 2-2, 3-1 type of team. They have played 4 games, so yeah. Oh my gosh, if they played a regular schedule, I think that's where they'd be.
Yeah, this is a way better team than the record has you say. We're going to run through these next couple games rapid fire. I guess we'll jump ahead to that one. We'll jump ahead to that other one that you just mentioned, Pitt losing on the road to Cincinnati in the River City rivalry matchups. 37-27 the final. Cincy, number 11, improves to 3-1. Danny?
Yeah, good time rivalry. They have their own fun trophy in this game, and this Cincinnati team is always a big competitor in this conference. So it was a pretty tough one for Pitt, but they're better than what the record says.
Big Bear?
Pitt's better than their record. I already said it, but Pitt's better than their record.
All right. 11 of the top 25 teams this week were on bye. We mentioned this in the last episode of the podcast. But we got some ranked action wherever we could find it. Texas, number 6, winning 28-10 over UTSA after their sloppy matchups against La Tech and a UTSA team, which on paper they should dominate. They beat handily, but not by a factor that people were expecting. What do these games say about Texas?
They may be back. I mean, Texas, they did beat UTSA, but it's UTSA. I mean, Texas is supposed to be dominating these games before getting to conference play. So
remember, they almost lost to La Tech in their debut.
More. Yeah, almost lost to Nebraska. So Texas has some things to work out.
Big Bear?
Texas, they're a good football team. Yeah, I think they're fairly ranked.
Mm-hmm. All right, we'll move now to the next page. And this is where we find what I think is the best team in the Big East North. West Virginia, 27-14, improving 4-0 against a then undefeated Villanova. Danny?
Yeah, I mean, this was a pretty fun matchup, some nearby teams. And of course, this matchup was really important for the Big East North because any all conference games will definitely help change up the. So, great job for West Virginia for getting a big win.
Big Bear?
Yeah, Mountaineers got another good win over Villanova. Yeah, I think they're the best team in the Big East right now.
I think you could argue the same thing for Florida is true for West Virginia through the 2K streams. They played for a championship in 2021, were caught in a dogfight of the division in 22. 23, they slipped into the conference championship. In 24, they were in one of the toughest divisions in all football and didn't make it that far. Meanwhile, let's move now to West Lafayette. 24-16, Purdue beating Miami to add another power conference win to its resume. The Boilermakers are 4-0. Is it time to press the panic button just yet?
For the teams upcoming, I would say yes. The Spoilermakers aren't just being spoiling; they're spoiling their own fans with these big wins. Wins against Notre Dame and Miami, two historical powerhouses. So it is a great season for Purdue so far. Loving their momentum.
Big Bear?
They beat both the Catholics and the Convicts. Yeah, Purdue's power in the Big Ten this year. Give them a shot.
If you're a Catholic, if you're a convict, or if you're anything in between, you better watch out for the Purdue Boilermakers. Meanwhile, East Lansing, Michigan State, now 4-0 with their win over Iowa 30-6. Danny?
Yeah, I mean, early Big Ten action sports bowl is going to be fun to have. So definitely love how this game happened. Iowa off to a pretty poor start, and Michigan State a big start.
Meanwhile, or Pig Bear?
Yeah, Michigan State again, another team you need to watch out for in the Big Ten.
Because right now, the big two dogs are Michigan and Ohio State naturally. But right behind that, it is a tight race. Michigan State's in it. Purdue is definitely in it now with their undefeated start to the year. Even with their loss, I think Wisconsin is still in that race for sure. There's a couple other teams we'll mention later. Texas Tech goes into Starkville to take down Mississippi State 34-19. That's the Bulldogs' first loss of the year. They're 3-1, and still impressive start for Mississippi State. Meanwhile, Texas Tech is 3-0. They haven't had a start this good in a while. What's your thoughts on Texas Tech and Mississippi State, really? Both could be dark horses. Danny?
Yeah, I think both of them are dark horses in their conferences and this in their division as well. I think they are both have the chance to be high flying and upset a couple teams. So better watch out.
I think Danny's having some connection issues, but Pigbear, your thoughts?
Again, these teams we don't expect to be winning right now, or they're like Texas Tech and Purdue. They're both playing really well. My accent came out there, didn't it?
A little bit, but that's just fine. Big 12
How I said the days of the week. Y'all ready for this?
Let's hear it.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
A little bit of Thursday. I feel like I've yet to have an accent moment. I don't know if I have that strong of an accent, but maybe it's just because of perspective.
I was on a soccer broadcast and I said, coming up on Thursday.
Yeah. Preview for Sunday.
All right, back on topic.
Back on topic, Big 12 action again. Oklahoma heading to McLean and Waco, 37-31, getting the win over 2-2 Baylor. OU now 3-1. Danny?
Yeah, this was a very fun game in previous seasons. This would have been a 2KU game of the week, but that's the way how both these teams are this season. They aren't really, but definitely a great game and a great match between these guys. So great job to Oklahoma for getting a win.
Big Bear?
Oklahoma, Baylor, what a good game. Yeah, good job on Oklahoma getting the win. They should be creeping their way back towards the rankings now.
How about UMass getting the upset over 2KU Darlings, New Mexico State, 16-7. Minutemen now 2-2 to start the year in the American. New Mexico State, that's their first loss of the season. They're 3-1. New Mexico State, we're going to talk about later. They have a lot of fun matchups coming up. Danny?
Yeah, great job for UMass. I mean, they were Darling one season, I believe. I believe was 2022. I believe when they had
Twice.
season.
New Mexico State or UMass had a great season in 2022. New Mexico State did it twice in 2021 and 23.
Yeah, so these teams were kind of like little like dark horse rivals between each other, and great matchup between these two. Of course, New Mexico State, they were hoping for a lot more, but UMass got a better hand. Maybe they're trying to use this win as a way to prop up the little realignment move or two.
On the topic of realignment, actually, before we get to that, Pig Bear?
Shout out UMass.
On the topic of realignment, East Carolina, Memphis, the two new teams in the Big East, went to overtime in their first matchup against each other. And in a surprising twist of events, it's now East Carolina who starts the year 3-1, 21-17 over Memphis, who is now 1-3 on the year. Danny?
Yeah, this was totally different from how we projected in the preseason. In the preseason, we thought Memphis was going to be a really great team and East Carolina was going to be the really poor team, but here we are with East Carolina being 3-1 and Memphis being 1-3.
Big Bear?
East Carolina's a good football program, and I don't know the exact words this coach said, but the play was won. The game was won on the last play of the third quarter 2 weeks ago. Some great quote by one of ECU's former coaches. It's a proud program out there in Greenville, and I think they're right at home in the Big East.
All right. Meanwhile, out west, battle for the Paniolo, Wyoming, 27-24, improves to 3-1 on the year with the win over Hawaii. Wyoming is one of my favorites to contend for the Mountain West. Not a name that a lot of people have brought up, but I like the Cowboys as a dark horse out there on the mountains. Danny?
Yeah, they were pretty good. And they were a pretty good surprise team coming into the season because last year they didn't do that well, and this rivalry was dated back since even before the WAC, so this matchup was pretty important for both these guys, and great job to Wyoming for getting the win. Good luck, Space Cowboys.
It's hard to find rivals for Hawaii for sure. Pig Bear?
Yeah, Cowboys getting it done. Again, Wyoming, another state that just thrives on football.
Side note, what is a Paniolo?
What is a Paniolo? Paniolo.
It's a Hawaiian word for cowboy.
Yep.
They have a trophy. Oh, how about it? Anyway, from our
20, 10, 5,
touchdown. From our culture lesson to a history lesson, we got a repeat of one of the biggest battles of 2024 as Lamar 35-28 over Drake. Yes, we included this just because both teams are named Lamar and Drake, and it's extremely funny how this ended up exactly the same way as the rap beef did.
Not like us.
I have no notes on this one.
41, 67-41.
I should have made Drake score 17. And that's as edgy as we're going to get tonight. Moving on. We'll wrap up with probably the biggest blowout of this week. Nevada putting 77 on poor Cal State Los Angeles, who only got 3 in this game. If you remember CSU LA for anything, it was the 107-6 game they had in 2022 against Oregon, where they were absolutely demolished and dismantled by the Ducks. And that was a depleted Oregon team who didn't have their starting QB. That was Andrew Buchanan in for the Ducks that season because Andrew Burnett was injured. Will Cal State of Los Angeles ever catch a break?
I think so.
Probably not.
No.
I'm glad we're in agreement there. Let's move on now to some CASN related news. The SoCon closing their polls for FBS membership. If you remember back a few weeks ago, we talked about the Southland voting on staying in the FBS or moving down to FCS. Each of the schools had a vote looking for 2/3 majority or 3/4 majority in either way. The SoCon held the same vote here. There is a caveat, of course. We mentioned on the show a few weeks ago that Western Carolina had already had a verbal commitment to the FBS. So they held the vote anyway, but they were going to be staying regardless. And what may or may not be a concerning thing for the SoCon is, aside from Western Carolina, only one other school voted to stay up. That was William & Mary, who had 82% voting to stay. Some other notable marks, VMI was at 74, Chattanooga was at 72, Washington Lee was at 70. We had some tough decisions as well. Furman was dead even on their vote. Davidson was down. Davidson and Wofford are the two schools that voted to leave. It made sense. They were the two new schools in 2024. And they were really a panic move by the conference to make up for lost members to the Sun Belt anyway, and they were not really a fit to move up just yet. So they're moving right back down to the FCS in 2026. What might be alarming is Richmond was also close. They had 27, which was only 2% more than would have been the bar to move down to FCS. Oh, I forgot to mention one more. Citadel had 39. The numbers aren't looking great for the SoCon, but Washington or Western Carolina, William & Mary, those are the big ones staying. Pigler, what are your takeaways on this?
Obviously, you knew it was coming out of Cullowhee, and you could pretty much expect what was coming out of Williamsburg.
Yeah.
After especially the results of this season. I'm shocked at what came out of UT Chattanooga. That shocks me. Now in the long run, yes, I do think Chattanooga, VMI, and Washington Lee will be FBS members for the foreseeable future. I think teams we should watch out going into this also. Furman, does that 50-50 break at any point?
We'll see about that. Also,
and again, Furman is also putting a lot of money into academics right now.
They're looking towards that branch because you got to remember these universities have multiple facets to them.
Yeah, a lot of these universities are small private universities.
Mm-hmm.
Like Furman, let's say the ones who are staying as of right now. Let's go public-private. Chattanooga's private. Chattanooga's public. Davidson's private. They dropped. Furman's private. 50-50. Richmond's private. They almost dropped. Citadel's public, but it's also small military college. VMI, military college, but they voted to stay. Washington Lee's private, but they also have history. Western public. William & Mary private. Wofford. I think William & Mary's private. Wofford private. Yeah.
Yeah. What are your takeaways on this, Danny?
Yeah, is that if you're the SoCon, you might, if you do plan on going to the FCS, you're going to need to start figuring out who you're going to do the backfill, because leaving some of your top schools, West Carolina, William & Mary now, Chattanooga, and VMI historically.
Okay.
That losing these schools, you would basically be losing some of your top half of your conference, so you might need to start looking at members. if you go down to conference, not just a few members.
I think the most
Well,
likely
maybe
move would have to be them moving down, because there aren't really a lot more teams that are going to be staying up with the SoCon, because Davidson Wofford are for sure gone. They'll be in the FCS if the SoCon doesn't follow them. Western William and Mary are probably out of the conference, because if they're staying and the conference is still on the fence, that might be a prime time for someone like the American or the Sun Belt to try and scoop them up. There's even a weird long shot chance that the MAC tries and swoops in to take them to get to 16.
Middle America, Halloween, North Carolina.
There have been weirder things because they just expanded to Baltimore with Johns Hopkins. But right now, the numbers are not very confident with William. I'm not very confident in these numbers if I'm a SoCon official. Yeah, you have some team. Sorry.
If I'm at SoCon and I go down to the FCS, I think there's a couple schools that could obviously aim for. There's of course stuff like NC Tech, who would be in the area of Chattanooga because they lose them. Blue Ridge is of course an option.
I think the teams you aim for, the teams you aim for are probably SoCon members that aren't already in the conference. Teams like Mercer as well. Mercer joined recently. Samford joined the conference this season. Potentially, they try and go even further into the UAC's territory, or maybe they end up scooping up some teams from the American, because the American has their vote next week on their membership status. But yeah, I'm not confident in these numbers, specifically for how low Chattanooga was. This was before their result on Saturday. They lost handily to an Ole Miss squad that they were expected to lose to. But if Chattanooga, who was for the longest time the favorite to win this conference, couldn't even get the 75, there might be a bigger issue with SoCon right now. Meanwhile, on some lighter news, we move now to the ACC, SEC, and Big Ten, all of whom are considering a 9th game for their schedule starting in 2026. They're at varying degrees of actually getting this into action. We'll see how that pans out. Each conference commissioner met with their respective schools in the 9-3 format, which would be 9 conference games and 3 non-conference games, replacing one extra conference game that the 8-4 model has. This model actually starts in the 2KU with the Pac-12, who implemented it starting in 2011. Was a pretty simple fit. They were the Pac-10 at the time. 9-game structure meant you played everybody in your conference, and there was no real debate on who won it. And I believe that was also the first year they had a championship game. The Big East added it a few years later in 2014. They a few years prior had only 10 or so members, but they added the extra conference schedule to get more in when they expanded with teams like Charlotte, Delaware, and the like. The Big 12 added it last season, or added it this season. They announced it in 2024, but they added it this season in order to compete with the other conferences, as well as welcoming in SMU and TCU this year as they went to 16. But now the 3 new conferences are on the table for the expansion. The SEC and ACC had been planning this for a while. The Big Ten allegedly have been thinking about a 9-game schedule as early as 2011. They had just gotten to 12 members. They were thinking it was going to be a very easy fix to get things set up. The one problem is the team they added as their 12th member shot it down, and that team was Notre Dame. Notre Dame did not want to lose their extra non-conference game. And that schism would end up growing through the years and end up culminating with them leaving the conference as of this year. The SEC had a plan for a 9th conference game dating back to 2023. That was when they were going to expand to 14 teams with Arkansas and South Carolina. Seeing how South Carolina's not in the conference, you can guess how that plan turned out. It was kind of marred by the whole scandal that happened with Alabama and South Carolina. The ACC is the biggest question mark so far. Unlike the Big Ten and SEC, who have concrete 2026 plans, the ACC is still questioning right now. We're not entirely sure how that will pan out. We'll see how it goes later. Potentially this could mean expansion, or it could mean someone is looking to the ACC for schools. Maybe the SEC finally wins South Carolina over and tries getting Georgia Tech back. I don't know. Danny, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, these schools, they of course want to continue playing their big rivals, want to continue earning their TV revenue, and of course keep on finding a complete better for the BCS and New Year's Six bowl games. So you definitely need to find your best way to put your product out on the field, especially for your fans and for your people who, and for your recruits who want to see big games and play in these big games. So definitely a great move. And of course, each one have their own pros and cons, of course. So let's be a pick and choose from what the conferences do from here.
Big Bear?
Yeah, I think where you can preserve out of conference games, because out of conference games are important, guys.
They are.
I wish the powers that be would know this. But well, powers that be in real life, not y'all, and I know y'all know this. But I just think 9 would work if you have the right number. Also, check the group chat for what I just sent.
It's a little weird with the ACC, or with the conferences in specific, because the SEC and ACC are at 14 teams right now, and I don't know if that's the number. But all right.
I made a True Sickos committee post.
All right.
Where are we looking? That would be, for those who can't see, it's a Western Carolina to the MAC graphic. But let me pull out here our conference projections, seeing as conference play has either already started or is about to start for all the major power conferences. I have a list of teams that I consider true competitors in their conferences together, and we're gonna run through them really quick, look at what they're facing off against, and talk about who we think is going to play for the conference championship game for each, now that we have an actual sample size. We'll start with the ACC as a handoff from the last segment to this one. We have a potential ACC title game preview starting off. Clemson plays Georgia Tech in week 7. They get through that, they look like national contenders, but watch out for traps. They play Maryland in their second to last game of the year as an as their penultimate matchup. Georgia Tech, meanwhile, they have all of their toughest matches as road games. Clemson, North Carolina, and Virginia Tech are all on the road. North Carolina, a team that not a lot of people are talking about. The Tar Heels have some statement wins on the docket coming up. They head to Florida State, Virginia Tech, and they host Georgia Tech in Chapel Hill. Miami has historically struggled on the road. They have daunting trips lined up against Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, and North Carolina. Florida State, they had a rough start. All right, they failed to really prove themselves, but they can make up some ground with some upsets against North Carolina or Clemson. With the win over Florida State and a matchup against the Tigers in week 13, the Maryland Terps are now the major stunner as an ACC dark horse. They could do what Wake Forest did last season and potentially steal the division away from the top dogs. Virginia, their 4-0 start may seem fraudulent, but with the win against Miami in Hard Rock on week 6, that could prove otherwise. Meanwhile, Virginia Tech, you always have to mention them. All of their toughest games are at home, and they're all the more dangerous for it. Looking at the slates and looking at these teams, right now, I'm going to go a little crazy. I think Georgia Tech is winning the. I think Georgia Tech's definitely winning the Coastal. And I think they're winning the conference. They're going to play Maryland in the conference championship game. That matchup against Week 13 is going to be exciting. I'm all in on the Terps though, winning the ACC Coastal. Give me Georgia Tech over Maryland. Danny?
And this is going to be a pretty good matchup. For me, in my opinion, I think I'm going to have Georgia Tech, and I might go for a little bit of a shocker, but I kind of like South Carolina. They're currently 1-0 in conference. They have a mostly favorable schedule, but they definitely do have some good chances of pulling off a win here and there.
Pig Bear?
I like Georgia Tech and Clemson. I like Clemson winning the conference.
Top two just going chalk. Nothing wrong with that. To the Big East Conference, which right now, what a touchdown there. Looks to be pretty chalk. It looks to be very much a South show, as the keg of nails is going to be the deciding factor right now. Louisville, right now, I think is the best team in the ACC, or the Big East rather. They're undefeated. They're ranked. They'll have a great proving ground matchup against South Florida on the road next week to show that they are for real. Meanwhile, Cincy's one loss to Boise doesn't spark much confidence. The Cincy Bearcats beat UCF in Orlando last year, and now the Bearcats can win at home to reestablish themselves in the Big East race coming up. Rutgers, now that they have their toughest game behind them, they're expected to remain undefeated entering a matchup at Louisville later this year. Temple, by no means a favorite in the Big East, but when has that ever stopped them? They've won 2 titles in the last 3 years as underdogs. They're surely going to stay competitive in the Big East North. Meanwhile, West Virginia, I like them potentially winning the Big East North. They have the most difficult out-of-conference schedule, as well as a tough matchup with an undefeated Villanova on the docket. They're now 4-0. I like West Virginia a lot because of their stretch. UCF, not only have they lost 2 out-of-conference games against FAU and Dave's show, I think there's a lot of trouble entering the conference. I think Memphis is a tough matchup coming up. I think they're better than the record suggests. Cincy is obviously tough, and is Louisville. And when you factor that all 3 of those games are on the road, plus the 2 losses we saw from the Knights already, things might be dire in Orlando. Meanwhile, the big feel-good story of the conference, ECU enters the Big East play at 3-1. Their one loss is to UCF. We'll see how they play out moving forward. My conference championship, I like Louisville and West Virginia to play for a spot in the BCS. Danny?
For me, I'm actually going to pick a rematch that's going to happen in the regular season. Give me Rutgers against Louisville. They both play against each other in week 9. The game is in Louisville, and I think they're going to rematch again in the conference championship game.
Big Bear?
Y'all ready for this pick?
Who are you picking?
West Virginia, going chalk in the north. East Carolina.
ECU is your pick. The Miracle Run.
And I think, yeah.
Let's move to Big Ten. It was not a very tough schedule so far for Michigan, reigning national champs, but it looks a lot tougher now. That stretch between MSU at Wisconsin and at Chicago looks a lot more daunting than it did 3 weeks ago. Michigan State, they're off to a great start. They have 2 really tough games against Michigan and at home against Ohio State back to back. Are they going to be able to hold on? Ohio State's going to have some time to rest after their loss to Alabama. Their big test is heading up to East Lansing to play Sparty. Whiskey, despite the upset, the Badgers look like they should be Indy bound. They might be Indy bound should they win with the games at Penn State or against Michigan in the year. Purdue, the spoiler makers. They have a lot of upside entering week 6 against Chicago. Meanwhile, they have tough tests coming up in Sparty and Bucky right after that. Penn State, their 2-2 start is rough. Still having Wisconsin at Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State on their schedule to play is even worse for the Nittany Lions. Illinois, they have a brutal schedule moving forward in spite of their good start. Ohio State at Penn State, Wisconsin at Purdue, Michigan State, and Chicago through the year. Woof. Meanwhile, Chicago, talk about underdogs. The Maroons have the longest odds of any team in the Big Ten that isn't Northwestern. Sorry, guys.
Oh, no, I'm awake.
No divisions to talk about with the Big Ten. It's just the top two teams. And I think we're going to have something that's never been seen before. In two factors. I think we're going to get actually, it can't be because they play the week before. I think for the first time, Michigan and Ohio State are going to play in the Big Ten championship game. Danny?
That's pretty big. For me, I think we're going to get Michigan State. I think the Spartans have a really good chance they're going to go pretty far. And give me them to play against, I think, Ohio State at the end.
Big Bear?
I like Michigan, Ohio State rematch.
All right. To the Big 12. Texas currently sitting as a favorite, but with some shaky ground. Top 10 win. Win against the number 2 team in the conference. And even with their rough even with some of their rougher wins, forget Big 12. Longhorns are looking national title right now. Nebraska. Don't fret yet, Husker faithful. Even with their loss to Texas, Nebraska is back in competition. I wrote this a week ago, if you can't tell. The Huskers will be back in competition in no time. They are with their win against K-State. Kansas is playing well very early, but that's only the beginning of the story. Having to play Texas A&M, Iowa State, Kansas State, and Oklahoma State in Stillwater is a different thing entirely. OU, meanwhile, they struggled and lost to Temple at home. They still have Texas A&M, at Kansas State, at Nebraska, at Oklahoma State for Bedlam. This is a whole new ball game for the Sooners moving forward. BYU, can you say upset alert? They upset Oklahoma State, and they are right back in the Big 12 race after being slept on for quite some time. Iowa State, the win over Tulane reinvigorated the Cyclones. They're going to have Nebraska and Texas at home in November. I think they beat one of them, at least. Oklahoma State, they feel like that their national championship hopes are really slipping right now, and that loss to BYU doesn't help things. They're probably out of natty conversation. They can still win the Big 12, but they're going to have to run the table moving forward. That's not going to be easy. SMU in their first year, with the win over FSU, Pony Express might be fittingly the dark horse of the Big 12. K-State, they're sputtering. They still have games to worry about against Texas and Kansas on the road. Texas A&M, they had a disastrous start to the season. They're 1-2. Can they right the ship against Kansas this week? That's in Lawrence. Meanwhile, don't look now. Houston's got a good start to the year. They play host to Kansas and Texas A&M in the year. Houston might be lining up something interesting. But right now, my Big 12 championship game, I think Texas makes it. I think they run the table. And I think I like Nebraska making the conference championship. Danny?
I'm also going to play Texas and Nebraska. These two teams played really good in week 3. I think they're going to run through both their respective schedules and meet each other in Arlington.
Big Bear?
You need Texas and Nebraska also.
To the Pac-12. Sitting on top of my board right now, USC, the hyped-up Trojans exit their bye with Stanford and Notre Dame on their plates as real prove-it games. Oregon, their natty ambitions ride on 2 matchups later in the year. They play at Boise, and they have a home matchup against Oregon State. Meanwhile, Utah, they really have one game circled. Week 10, their rematch at Oregon. And by extension, the Ducks are looking at that day as well. Washington has been a very surprising team to see rise up so fast. Boise, Oregon, and Oregon State in a row are going to be a very tough challenge. Meanwhile, that last team we mentioned, Oregon State, they're the Cinderella story of the year. I feel like it's got to be. Big wins so far. They have a lot of momentum entering their season. It might midnight might strike though at week 12 as they head to USC. Maybe a future 2KU game of the week. We'll have to see. Arizona State, they're 4-0. Road games against Stanford and Oregon State will be the true tests for the Sun Devils coming up. Boise State, are they ready for Pac-12 ball? Their destiny lies on Saturday with their trip to Seattle. And the big game brothers are side by side here. Stanford, they're not a national threat, but don't count them out. You got to count them out against USC, Cal, and Oregon State at your own risk. They always play well against their rivals. Meanwhile, Cal, they welcome Oregon, USC, and Stanford to town. I think they are good enough to win at least one of those matchups. My top two in the conference right now, I think it's going to be Oregon and USC. Danny?
Yeah, I mean, there's some teams here that have a really tough schedule, like especially like Utah, because in a row they have to play against Washington, Oregon, Boise State, and just a few weeks after that, BYU. That's a tough schedule for any team. So these guys are definitely on a roll, and let's not forget about the little Cinderella down in the desert, Arizona State. They're still undefeated. They used to have a pretty winnable schedule. They miss out on Oregon. They don't play Washington. They don't play Utah. So they don't play Boise State either. Their big game is against Oregon State in Week 11. So give me Oregon, the Ducks, to play against the Sun Devils in Las Vegas. Or SoFi, sorry.
LA. Pig Bear?
Yeah, give me the Ducks. Give me the Ducks playing the Utes.
Oregon, Utah. A rematch. To the SEC. With their win in Stillwater a few weeks ago, the Crimson Tide are now a national threat. They have some risky games, though, coming up at Arkansas and at Georgia. LSU, they avoid Bama on the schedule, and that might be enough to get to the new number one in the SEC. They, of course, have to play conference or divisional rivals in Rice and Arkansas later in the year. Is Georgia the spoiled or the spoiler? Having Auburn and Alabama back-to-back will be the proving ground for that. Florida, they leave the swamp to play Georgia, LSU, and Bama in a road trip from hell. All back-to-back. Tennessee, the Vols could pull some late upsets. They host LSU and Georgia in November. Arkansas, they host the Crimson Tide in a trap game to end them all. And they're ending their year against LSU. Auburn, they have a horrible, crushing road schedule lined up for them. Even the best teams would fall victim to it. Meanwhile, Rice. Is Rice just the merchant of one of the easiest out-of-conference schedules in the power conferences? They open this week at Tennessee to see if they're ready for SEC football. Tulane. Their rough start to the year might have them drop out of the top 25. Their game against LSU in Baton Rouge will mark the last chance that Tulane has to compete in the SEC this year. Right now, my picks got to be those top two. It's got to be Alabama or LSU. I keep flip-flopping, though, on who I think the best team will be. But don't be surprised if they match up in Atlanta and there's still some zeros in the loss columns for both those teams. Danny?
Yeah, the SEC's got some pretty fun schedules coming up, or pretty fun games coming up, so then I think there's going to be a lot of fun matchups. For me, give me Alabama against LSU. They don't play against each other. They both have a mostly favorable schedule. Anything can happen in these games.
Pig Bear?
Give me Alabama. Give me Florida.
Oh, they're same division.
Alabama and let me get divisions pulled up real quick.
Yeah, Alabama and Auburn moved to the east when Rice and Tulane or Rice and Tulsa joined.
Give me Alabama and give me LSU.
All right, we're going all the same. We'll run through some non-power conference teams. We got a couple BCS busters, and we start with who might have to hope that a BCS buster spot is what they have. Notre Dame. Their 2-2 start is a rough way to start their independency. They'll have an even rougher start with Virginia Tech, USC, Stanford, and Michigan still on their schedule. FAU, 2 top 25 wins, plus this team's second ever top 25 appearance this season. They are clearly an early favorite for the BCS Buster. I think watch your rear view. Texas State. The K-State win might be just the tip of the iceberg for them. They're favored in every single game they play moving forward in the CUSA. Nevada out of the Mountain West. If anyone can make it out of the Mountain West undefeated, it might be that Wolfpack squad with the Power Conference win over SMU. William & Mary, they are the real deal. The Tribe Called Jerry rockets up boards with their win over Madison and are runaway favorites in the SoCon. UAB. Difficult Marshall team coming up is the real litmus test for UAB in the Conference USA, seeing if they can go undefeated. San Jose State, despite their preseason ranking, the Spartans are on the back foot after their loss to Stanford. Also out of the Mountain West, we have some more teams in Wyoming. They demolished their rivals in CSU. Now the Cowboys need a Week 6 win over New Mexico State. Keep those dreams alive. Also, you got to check that rear view mirror. Here at BCS, the 3-1 New Mexico State Aggies, even with their loss, they play both Nevada and Wyoming coming up. They play both those teams back-to-back in weeks 5 and 6, and they play them both at home in Las Cruces. And we have some other long shot teams in the mentioning here. McNeese is undefeated. They play rival Nichols in what might be their send-off game in the Southland. And that might be a preview for the Southlands Championship. Southern Illinois, still undefeated once again out of the Missouri Valley. They play 3 potential underdogs on the schedule. Missouri State, Wayne State, and Youngstown all on the road. I think if you're looking BCS for the Missouri Valley, you have to win at least one of those. And we wrap with the most surprising team I found out. Fun fact, there are 33 teams in the FBS for 2KU that are undefeated. This was the most surprising to me is Tarleton. They're a very intriguing BCS Buster. They're undefeated, and their biggest tests coming up are in November. Hardin-Simmons and North Texas are on the schedule, and both at home in Stephenville. Any interesting storylines you want to pull out here, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, who's gonna lay? I mean, the first team I want to mention for my BC Buzzer is FAU. They are, of course, got the big wins against Tulane and UCF. So definitely, I think FAU has a good chance of winning, especially in this very big game. I would also like to give a shout out to William & Mary. I mean, for 85 points against Colgate and then beating Wisconsin on the road in Camp Randall. That's a big game, and it's going to be hard for any team to compete against that. So definitely, I would recommend for a lot of these teams to play big, especially for these chances to get into a BCS game. So for me, my BCS Spurs would have to be FAU and William & Mary.
Pig Bear?
William & Mary and App State. Kidding. Yeah, William & Mary, but
App State might be the biggest test for FAU on their schedule.
that is a huge test for them. Yeah, I think William & Mary's got it.
I think 2 teams that are on my radar are Texas State and Nevada. Potentially future conference opponents. We'll have to see. All right, we're going to move now to our top 25. We had a lot to talk about today. So we're going to be a bit quick with the top 25. Thankfully, the top 7 is all unchanged. Michigan, Oregon, Alabama, Clemson, Georgia Tech, and Texas and Ohio State did not move because most of them were on bye or played FCS squads. Going down the list, they play at Minnesota, bye Ole Miss, at Boston College, at Dave Show, at TCU, and a bye respectively. Interesting how 3 of the top 5 are on the road. Keep an eye out on that. Number 8, up 2 spots, is LSU. They play Northwestern State and got a win. They're 4-0. They have a bye. Number 9 is Cincinnati. They also have a bye after their win. USC into the top 10. They were off last week. They play Stanford this one. Boise State, another Pac-12 team, now to number 11. They are off their bye. They head to Washington coming up. Notre Dame still in the top 15 in spite of 2-2. They play at Virginia Tech, also 2-2 and still ranked very high as Oklahoma State. They lost at BYU. They play Texas Tech on Friday. Mark this on your calendars. The highest ranked a Sun Belt team has ever been is this week. The 14th ranked FAU Owls are 3-0. They play Georgia State. Number 15 is Utah, the biggest droppers of this week. I forgot to mention Oklahoma State dropped 5. And Utah dropped 6. They got a win against Arizona. They play at UCLA coming up. Up 2 spots is Washington to 16. They're 3-0 as they host the number 11 Broncos. Number 17, Michigan State. They just beat Iowa. They're on bye. Louisville is number 18 in the country, up 3 from last week, which I believe makes them our biggest risers. They play South Florida on the road. Number 19, up 1 spot is Kansas. After their win over FCS Lindenwood, they take on Texas A&M. William & Mary is new to the top 25, and we have a SoCon team ranked for the first time since 2022. How about the Tribe with their win against Wisconsin? They'll get a much-deserved bye. Georgia up 2 spots, number 21. After their bye, they head to Starkville to take on Mississippi State. And we have 3 new teams back-to-back-to-back at spots 22, 23, and 24. Oregon State finally into the top 25 after their win against Wazoo. They play Utah State on Friday. Number 23, Nebraska is finally in the top 25 after their win against K-State. They are on bye. Purdue, number 24. They're new to the top 25 with their win over Miami. They play Iowa this week. And after their loss, they drop 1 spot in the top 25. Wisconsin, 3-1. After their loss to William & Mary, they are on bye. Not as many teams on bye as last week. Let's talk about some of the teams who dropped. Texas A&M, UCF, Tulane, and Kansas State all dropped. K-State fell like a rock after their loss. One of the largest drops we've seen in 2KU history. But just looking through the rest of our next teams up, those being Texas A&M, Oklahoma, West Virginia, UCF, Texas State, Rutgers, Tulane, Kansas State, Arizona State, and San Jose State. Your thoughts on the top 25, Danny?
Yeah, this top 25 has had a lot of changes. They only had 1 change in the top 7. It was actually Alabama jumping Clemson. Makes sense, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, we mostly had a lot of changes in the bottom half of it. So, good job for these teams. Wish UCF can return back to the rankings soon, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully it all goes well for these teams.
Pig Bear?
Tough week, but shout out to William & Mary. 20's not where they're going to stop. They'll get higher.
They don't have a lot of tough challenges moving forward. I think much like Texas State, they're favored every game they play from here on out. Maybe they have a tough challenge against Chattanooga coming up, but we'll see. But now, hopefully this game goes to overtime, so we'll have enough time to actually finish our games of the week. Starting on Friday, we have 2 games I want to mention. The Dust Bowl, or as I like to call it, Bootleg Red River. Texas A&M, not Texas A&M, Texas Tech is 3-0 as they head to Stillwater to take on Oklahoma State. In spite of their record, the 2-2 Cowboys are 3.5-point favorites at home. I think the underdog has been favored in every game that the Pokes have played in the last 2 times. I think third time is no different. Give me Texas Tech on the road to improve to 4-0. Danny?
Yeah, this game's going to be great, and give me Texas Tech to win as well. This game is going to be fun. The Dust Bowl is always going to be a interesting matchup for you guys, so give me Texas Tech to win.
Big Bear?
Give me Texas Tech close.
From Stillwater to Logan, Utah State jumps into conference play as they take on Oregon State. The number 22 Beavers, forgot to add rankings to those ones. But the number 22 Beavers head to Logan as 10.5-point favorites. I like Oregon State to improve to 5-0. Danny?
Yeah, I'm going to pick Oregon State to win this one as well. It should be a pretty easy matchup for these guys. And you guys can watch it here on the Discord in the afternoon because it's a special thing for me.
All right. It's Danny's birthday. on the September 26th. As we're about to watch Wild Western win the game here, I think.
Mm.
We'll hold off on the Saturday games to see what goes on. They're kicking. Was this a 45-yarder? Kick is on the way. And he got it.
That's good. We made 1-1 in this series.
55-52. Saturday games. Tennessee heads to Rice to take on the Owls. Tennessee 8.5-point favorites on the road in spite of being 2-2. And Rice being 4-0. I like Tennessee to win it. Danny?
Give me Tennessee to win this one as well. Rice has barely had a competition, so I think Tennessee's much more foul tested.
Pig Bear?
Give me Tennessee.
All right. The Wrigley Series. Chicago and Northwestern. The Chicago Maroons, for the first time I think anyone can remember, are actually favored against the Big Ten squad. They have a 6.5-point spread here. I like Chicago to win it. Danny?
Yeah, give me Northwestern to win this game. It's by the lake, so I think Northwestern will have a great view and a great win.
Big Bear?
Battle for Chicago. Give me Chicago to prove to 4-0.
Notre Dame heads to Lane Stadium to enter Sandman and take on Virginia Tech. The 2-1 Hokies favored by 2.5. I like Virginia Tech to get the win. Danny?
Give me Virginia Tech as well.
Big Bear?
Give me Vatek winning.
And the computer's going to love that. Georgia Tech 3-0 in the top 10. Comfortably, I believe they're in the top 5. They are number 5 in the country. But always watch your backs when you head to Orlando to take on the Dave Show University Truckers, who are 2-2 on the year, but they've played everyone they've played close. Georgia Tech favored by 6.5. In order to cover, they'd have to break the 7-point spread. I don't think they cover, but I think Georgia Tech does win to improve to 4-0. Danny?
Yeah, give me Georgia Tech to win this game close. Dave Show's always keep the games close, so give me the Yellow Jackets.
Big Bear?
Give me Yellow Jackets.
All right. Moving on. Iowa State and Oklahoma in a Big 12 showdown. Iowa State already has a conference win. They're 3-1 overall, as does Oklahoma, also 3-1. This game is in Norman. Oklahoma's a 5.5-point favorite. As good as Iowa State's played early, I like Oklahoma to win. Danny?
Yeah, give me Oklahoma to win this game as well. They're playing at home. It's going to be a pretty fun matchup, so give me the Sooners.
Big Bear?
Give me Iowa State. Give me upset on the road.
To the swamp. Florida 5.5-point favorites against Auburn. I'm picking the Gators to improve to 4-1. Danny?
Yeah, give me the Gators as well. This is, of course, going to be a rivalry game. It's going to be big. It's going to be intense, but give me the Gators.
Big Bear?
Give me Auburn going into the swamp and winning.
KU 3.5-point favorites at home, taking on Texas A&M. Give me TAMU in an upset on the road to right the ship. Danny?
Yeah, give me Kansas to continue on their winning streak. They're doing really well, and I think Kansas will improve to 5-0.
Big Bear?
Give me Kansas winning.
An old Southwest Conference rivalry is reinvigorated and reunited. TCU at M&G Carter hosts Texas, who are 4-0 on the year. Texas 9.5-point favorites on the road. Give me Texas to win it. Danny?
Yeah, give me Texas to win this game as well.
Big Bear?
I think Texas will win.
Give me TCU defending their home turf and getting the upset.
A potential Mountain West championship clash. Nevada 4-0 taking on 3-1 New Mexico State. Nevada favored by 7 on the road. I like the Nevada Wolfpack to get the win and improve to 5-0. Danny?
Give me the New Mexico State Aggies. It's going to be a fun matchup. It's going to be a big game, especially for the very first conference game in the Mountain West. So,
welcome to Mountain West, New Mexico State. They've been waiting for you for sure. Pig Bear?
Give me New Mexico State. Actually, no, give me Nevada.
If you remember, 2022, the loss to the Wolfpack was what kept New Mexico State out of the conference championship game in the WAC that year. Idaho won that conference title game. That was a crazy time where both WAC teams were ranked. Stanford USC rivalry, a rivalry so big they forgot to name it. Trojans are 9.5-point favorites at home. I think Stanford keeps it close, but give me the Trojans to improve to 4-0. Danny?
Yeah, I think the USC will win this game. It's going to be a fun matchup to expect. I think USC will definitely improve.
Big Bear?
Give me USC.
Davis Wade in Starkville. Mississippi State takes on Georgia. Georgia favored by 4.5 on the road. I like Georgia to win it. I think a lot more spread out. Plus the points. Give me Georgia to win it. Danny?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take Georgia to win this game. It's going to be loud. It's going to be breakfast with the Cowbells, but I think give me Georgia to win this game.
Big Bear?
Not so fast. Ring those cowbells. Mississippi State gets the upset.
A classic rivalry wraps us out. The Little Brown Jug. Undefeated Michigan heads to Minneapolis to take on the 2-2 Minnesota Golden Gophers. Michigan favored by 13 in this one. I like the Wolverines to win comfortably. Danny?
Yeah, give me the Michigan Wolverines to win this game as well, easily.
Big Bear?
Give me Michigan winning comfortably. Actually, no, give me Minnesota covering.
All right. Now we move to the 2KU Game of the Week, our lone ranked matchup this week, and it features it highlights the latest round of realignment. Last season, Boise State was among 4 teams who committed to join the Pac-12, getting it to 16 teams, making it a juggernaut of its type. They had tried 16 before with SMU and TCU, but it didn't work. This one felt more sturdy and stable. Meanwhile, they head to one of the conference's founding members in Washington. 2 teams that are no stranger to each other. Boise was famous for constantly pulling upsets against Pac-12 schools, constantly playing big, whether it be Oregon, whether it be Washington, the former of which they developed a rivalry with pretty much in the Ducks. But now, for the first time, Boise heads to Seattle wearing that Pac-12 badge. And it's funny because Boise State has a more recent national championship in the 2KU than Washington does. Number 11 Broncos, number 16 Huskies, Washington 2.5-point favorites at home. Give me the Purple Rain to win this one. Danny?
Give me the purple smoke for the Huskies to win this game.
Big Bear, send us home.
They aren't winning in real life, but they'll win in the 2KU. Give me the Broncos.
Boise. 2 Washingtons, 1 Boise. Will be... Oh, actually, you have one more thing?
Rest in peace, Sean Clark.
Dedicate that to Sean Clark, former coach of both UCF and App State.
Yes.
Pour that one out.
American lineman at App State. Pour one out for him if I had one. I'm not 21, so I don't have one.
Not yet. But we will see you on Saturday for Boise, Washington in Seattle. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you then. And so long from the 2KU